Hey, it's Dorleen. Welcome to my channel. I'm working on a really fun card today. The first thing I did is I cut all my card bases, scored them, and folded them. And I also cut these pattern papers into 4 by 5 1/4 inch squares. I'm going to be working on these die cuts that I've already had in my stash. Believe it or not, these have been in my stash probably for over at least 5 years. So what I did is I adhered the pattern paper to the card base. And actually, I probably shouldn't have done this step. And in a minute, I'll show you why. But I just centered it. I adhered it. The rest of the card you can follow exactly as is. This is called a fractured card. I got the idea from Lisa's Stamp Studio. She's a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I absolutely love her videos. So I'll put a link below in the information box. I'll also put a link to my blog, which will also have her link and any other information you need. So I did grab a lot of summery, really bright colors and greens and reds. Greds, that's a whole new word, right? But what you want to do is you want to cut a square. Mine is 2 1/4 square, and that's really the largest you want to be. You can definitely go smaller than that, just depending on your, what you decide. And then you're going to cut at least 4 strips of 1/4 inch strips. Now, I just use the other half of the card base. So when you have an 8.5 by 10 piece, 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, you cut it in half for your card. Normally that gives you 2 cards. Well, the other side, I use this to cut my strips. And then what you do is you just build on this square, or this diamond, I guess is the shape. So I took one strip and I just used it, liquid adhesive. I thought that was going to be a little bit easier than trying to get some double-sided tape because it was so thin. And so you put some glue on there, and then you butt it up so that the one side is even, and then the rest just goes all the way through the paper edge. Now, this is where I'm talking about. I probably should have waited until after doing all this before putting that pattern paper panel onto the card base, but I already adhered it, so I made it work. I realized as I was putting that down that I didn't have it completely butt up to the edge, because that is really important as well. You want to start at that top level even, and then you want to make sure that these strips are butt up to the square. So again, I trimmed after. Now, I thought I could get away with it, and I trimmed all the way to the edge of the card, but you'll see later I ended up trimming it to the end of the pattern paper. It definitely looks better, but excuse me, again, if I would have waited to adhere that pattern paper to the card base, I wouldn't have this problem of just kind of trimming these little tiny pieces. So that's a lesson learned, and I did follow the directions better when I completed the other cards. Now, the other thing I did is on this strip, I only did the 1/4 inch strip to the end of the card, only because I was just using up the strips, because if you saw me, I made a mistake and I ended up having to use a completely different strip. And so I didn't have all 4 strips. Yeah, I could have cut another one, but I was kind of being lazy. But it still looks fine, and it still has that fractured look. But look at how fun this is. And if you really take a good look, it really does look like there's just, you added wonky pieces, triangle pieces of the pattern paper versus adding these strips. And the reason why you can get that look is because the strips are the same color as the card base, and that's what makes it the fractured card. But look at that. Isn't that super fun and very easy, very little imagination, right? And then what I did, because like I mentioned, I had these really fun cuts from years ago. I was really trying to go through my stash, and I just adhered them. Originally I was just going to do a single watermelon, but I had the different sizes, the bigger and the small, and so I thought, how fun is that to add 2? So the bigger one, I just adhered it straight onto the card, and then the smaller one, I put foam adhesive. I did have some fun kind of fruit pun type of stamps, and so I decided to stamp just directly onto the pattern paper instead of putting it like on a panel or something like that, because I thought, even though it was a pattern paper with the little watermelons, it's still pretty clear, it's not too busy, and you'll see in a minute when I stamp that down, it really does look super cute. So I made a bunch of these with watermelon that I had in my stash and the apples, and I'll show some pictures at the end, but also make sure you go to my blog because there'll be more pictures and also more just a better directions or instructions on how to complete the card. But isn't that super fun and super easy? I love the way they look. So thank you so much for watching. I do hope you like this video, and if you do, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I do post 2 videos a week. One is always scrapbooking, and the other is whatever it is I'm creating in the command center, which in this case happens to be a card. This card is done on behalf of the CutCardStock design team, and all the cardstock used for this project is from CutCardStock. I'll have a link below for that as well. Thank you again for watching. This is my Instagram account. Please make sure you subscribe there as well. Thanks again. Bye.